So Jasmine and I, life partners, business partners, in all things.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a interview where we interview each other because we have a podcast and we're going to interview people on this podcast. So relax, people. We will talk to other people.
Do we have to?
It's not a requirement.
No.
But we do have plans to do so. But we got so many new people fucking with us now that I felt like it was like an important thing for us to kind of reintroduce ourselves. But you can already get the introduction in a lot of other places. So I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to get to that back wall. This back wall conversation.
Live in the back wall.
I do. I'll be digging. So I know you.
You do.
But now I want everybody to know you.
They don't need to know.
Your questions for me were really fucking good.
Thank you.
And somebody out there does need to have you as that interviewer for sure.
So nerve-wracking though. But it was fun though.
It was. I mean, you were super prepared enough to have something for me to write my questions on.
I looked out.
You did. You looked out. But I guess first and foremost, the name Jet Setting Jasmine to me, throughout the years, it's grown. Mm-hmm. There's other people using the moniker with their own whatever, but I've known you rocking this name for a long time. So for those who don't know, and we're going to go deeper, but how did you, first question, just to warm up, how did you get the name Jet Setting Jasmine?
My middle name is Jasmine. Super creative. It started with being on that first podcast, The Emotion Picture, with my brother Victorious and Shaw Stimuli, and whoever the woman that was supposed to the other co-host, it was supposed to be another woman. I don't know what her name was, but like she couldn't do it or she was a no-show or something. So like the good little sister, I was like, pick me, I'll do it. And so I wasn't even supposed to be a part of that shit. And then it morphed into like, you know, like they couldn't do it without me. And so Victoria's is like, well, what do you want to be called? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I want to use a name that I'm going to answer. Because if I picked, like, a club name or something, they might be talking to me and I'll just be zoned out. So I was like, oh, just use my middle name. And then I was working for the government at the time, and I was traveling from medical center to medical center. So every Wednesday we recorded live, and I would be in a different city. Okay. And he'd be like, where are you calling him from? So I'd be in a different city. And he was just like, Jet Setting Jasmine. I was like, oh, I like that shit, you know? Yeah. And then I just decided to keep it because then it sort of became like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if I call myself that, then you got to live up to it. So here we are.
And now that you have lived up to it, how does Jet Setting Jasmine as an idea, how has it grown? Because now it's you have it also as a name as a company. Yeah. So there's the woman. Yeah. And then there's this idea. What is now, 10 years later, what is the idea and the philosophy of Jet Setting Jasmine?
Well, you know, I think a lot of companies have like their vision and their mission. And I feel, I can't spit one out for you right now. I know I can go through like all of my like journals and notepads and spreadsheets and, you know, and sort of like, this is what I want the mission and the vision to be this year. And sort of like kind of combining it with like the name is that it's got to be elevated, right? Mm-hmm. If you're jet setting, you are elevated. True. And honestly, like everything that you and I have done, so Jet Setting Jasmine, when we opened Body Altitudes, it was about the height, about elevating your body. Yeah. Right? When we did our first radio show, it was Mile High Club. It was about being freaky in the sky, right? Yep. When you think about Royal Fetish Films, it's royal. It's like elevating the status of fetish in film. So everything that has to do with me has to be elevated. And like when I think about the company, it's like, okay, this is our mission is helping people explore. So traveling through, I mean, I kind of think like I travel through people's trauma. I travel through people's, you know, even my therapy company is Blue Pearl, and it's a different, you have to dig deep in to get the pearl, right? Yep. So within the depths of the ocean. So there's even like that range of traveling and helping people explore from trauma to their highest level of themselves. So I think about it from that perspective, and just like levels and like where's the next place we're gonna go, and it's like where's the next place in business, where's the next place as a family, and not necessarily physical location.
That's what's up. I think about when I first got into porn, they were like, if you need a porn name, you use your middle name and the street you grew up on.
What would it have been?
If it was Hassan Bogart.
Hassan Bogart.
Well, Hassan Bogart. That would be kind of tough.
Mine would be Jasmine Beach. It's on brand.
That's close. Wasn't that one of the what was the show with Pamela Anderson? Wasn't that?
Oh, the Baywatch.
Wasn't one of their names Beach?
I don't know.
I don't know. You cut that out, R. I'm gonna just tell R to cut out mad shit, just so this is the greatest episode ever. But it is because we talking about Jasmine.
That is true. Oh.
All right. So speaking of, you actually mentioned it. You were working for the government, and it was a vanilla job. And how, when you no longer had that job, how far was porn from your idea of where you were going to land?
Well, couple things. It's funny, like as you said, like a vanilla job. The first thing, like little hair stood up because I'm like, for a vanilla job, that shit was still grimy as fuck. It was for the government, so that's vanilla in a different way, I know, but but the way that people sort of think about these like straight and narrow professions, that you end up seeing how like unethical things really can be. Word. And how corrupt shit is in these respectable positions and places and spaces. But when I was working at the job, I was doing porn already. We already had films out for a couple years. But there was no reason to go in the break room and be like, oh, like I'm going to just like upload.
Take a look at this.
Yeah, there was no.
With your Stofers.
Ew. I could actually smell the break room, right? And there also was no reason for, in my porn career, to be like, like, hold the lube, let me return this email. So there, I had like two different lanes. Someone thought that it would be a great idea to merge those two for me by sharing with my employers and the congressman in Florida and the governor of Florida and the secretary of that department, my Twitter, my Instagram, and dox me in that way. And, luckily for me, I had already envisioned like what we were doing with Jet Setting Jasmine, with Royal Fetish Films, with our healthcare brand, or our health and wellness brand at the time. Like these will always be, they were already solidified as like these will always be somewhere, especially with porn, because once you do it,
it's there forever.
Yeah, like you're cursed by it and you're coined by it forever. If you're lucky, it'll still make money when you're sleeping. You're old, like God willing, go watch those films. So I guess, how far did I think that it would go? I wanted it to go far enough that I could leave that job on my terms. Yeah. That was probably like when I decided to, let me let it go. This is not the hill I want to die on. I don't want to fight these people for respect that, whatever. I had already kind of decided that like I just wanted to buy more time. I was like, I need a couple more years of benefits. I need a couple more of these nice padded paychecks so that way we could get like more equipment or that type of shit. So it kind of sped up the process. But like I told you, when we got together, I was like, I want to be retired from this vanilla job by the time I'm 40. And that should help me do it like 3 years earlier. So, goal.
There you go, Doxy out there.
Thanks.
And I think about the same thing in regards to rap. It's like, I'm glad I stayed in porn. At least you know who's fucking who.
There you go.
You know, a lot of, I think, and this leads into our next question. What from that world do you wish was in the porn industry? And what from the porn industry do you wish was in that world?
Wow. That's such a great question because I used both skill sets. Since I had the opportunity to do both jobs at the same time, there will be times where I'm just like, in healthcare, I wish that there were open conversations. I wish that there was a focus on sexual wellness and there was a focus on true quality of life. So working for the American healthcare system, there's a focus on illness and conditions and there's a lot of things that influence the healthcare system to be really very focused on people not being well. And I think in the sex industry, when we think about like fantasies and desires and exploration and expression and release and like orgasms and connecting with people and having wild experiences, like that to me is health focused, that, you know, and so, but sadly, I see people in the porn industry that have this open mindset, this desire to be free, but then they have poor healthcare, access to healthcare and resources and tools, right? So it's like this one building that has all the tools that they don't know how to use to free people to be well. And then you have these people who really want to be well and have the mindset to do it, but don't have access to the tools. It's very frustrating. Now, from the things that I wish the porn industry had that the secular industry, well, the vanilla job had, fucking HR.
Word.
Centralized payroll.
Yeah.
Benefits.
Yep.
Some of my medical centers had, they at least acknowledge things like child care, older adult care, like the fact that the employee could not exist unless the employee's entire like family was cared for. Like you could get more out of the employee if you made sure that they had some type of like subsidy for taking care of their older adult parent and their child. Granted, I definitely understand entertainment is entertainment. We don't need it in the same way we need healthcare, but just sort of like more thoughtful policies and benefits to keep the talent well so that they could do their job well. The vanilla industry had a retirement plan. There was a plan for succession. Like you knew if you came in at this level, sort of where you could go and develop and create a career. And I think that in the porn industry, it's really hard to see how you might enter in as a cam model and leave out owning that company.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because also they speak so much about how there's such a high burnout in our industry. If there was something that made it so that people felt more secure in it or knew that there were benefits at the end, people would definitely stay longer. It's like a lot of people, it's not always the big sob story why somebody left or the terrible experience. Sometimes it's just like, I need more security in my life.
Absolutely. You know? There's the other things like strategic planning is something that we did often with like budgets and, the issue that I would say in the vanilla world is that those plans to me weren't really people focused. They were very organizational focused. Like, how can we get more with less type of thing. Yeah. But then in the porn industry, it can feel very much like, for me, like the Wild Wild West. Like there is no sort of like strategic focus to produce healthier, better content or whatever. Or like, we have like knowing we have an impact on the world. What would we like to do with that influence, So, yeah.
For sure.
Ooh.
What do you think that you bring to the industry that is unique to
I
Jet Setting Jasmine?
just said it. Like,
Well,
no, I'm just
not even just in the let's go away from just the industry aspect as a performer.
okay.
Not just because we already know in the business mind. What about as a performer?
Um. Hmm. This is something that I won't be humble here. Like, this is our house. So I think like I'm really, really, really fucking good with like my dialogue in the scenes. Sometimes like I watch it back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so funny, or I'm so mean, or like, oh, that was so good. Like, oh, when I actually take the opportunity to watch our films back. I usually need a little bit of space from them, but when I do watch, I'm like, oh, like, yeah, nobody would have thought to say that. Or like actually learning something about the person I'm performing with to slightly, how do I want to say this? Because I don't want it to sound.
Also, you might not want to give away that trade secret.
That part. Well, okay. So it's like taking something that I've picked up, like maybe while we're getting dressed, or while we had our pre-production meeting, or while we were having coffee while waiting to get ready, or something like that. Like, being very observant and bringing that into the piece, so that way it pulls who they really are out. And it usually takes them slightly off kilter, like, oh shit, like I don't let the person escape too far from who they are. And I think then we get to see something different about that performer, because I do think that, it's part of the work, is that you go off into fantasy place, you get into your character, and that's great. But when you're working with me, I do want to bring your authenticity. So I think that is something that I bring as a performer. A lot of people that I have shot with, they may say like, nobody's ever got me to do that on camera. And it's like, I'm not getting you to do anything. You allowed yourself because you either felt comfortable or you were reminded who the hell you were in my presence. And that's important to me.
Reminded who the hell you were.
Okay.
In her presence.
Yeah.
That's hard as fuck.
Thank you, babe.
Need that on t-shirt. But as the person who edits a lot of your scenes, there'll be times I'll just be breaking out laughing because you're very, very quick-witted. And a lot of times especially like femdom scenes, people are playing a character more than they are even in the moment.
Yep.
And you are so in the moment, and it's who you are. Even if it's like a part of you, it is you. So it'd be like, she say shit like that when we outside. So it's not like wild left field to me, but it is so sharp and so like some of that should just be hilarious to me. And I definitely appreciate it. I would say also, when you are learning somebody, and this is on or off camera, but this is in the BDSM realm. When you are learning somebody, what helps you decide this is the part of them that I want to draw out?
Specifically in the BDSM space, because it's rare that I'm trying to humiliate someone. There may be embarrassing moments. There may be some vulnerable moments, or if they like to be humiliated, then that's a whole nother thing. But I like to look for what people may think of as like a weakness, or a deficit, or something that they are like maybe feel a little vulnerable or insecure about. But I'm only going to pull that out if I know that we can then turn it into a strength by the end of the time that we're scening.
I like that.
Yeah. Because I want people to feel empowered when they've worked with me, like from a on-set scene type of thing, and also like from a BDSM sex situation. Like, I want them to feel like like, yeah, like I did that. Even if it's like I got slapped in the face and like peed on, like, yeah, but I did that shit and I did it well. And she's very proud of me and I'm proud of myself. Because that makes you want to go back to, everybody wants to go back to a place where they felt good, confident, and proud of themselves. And so like I like to keep on coming back. And then I'm also thinking about the viewer. The viewer can usually connect with whoever the other, one of us. You're connecting with one of us. So, or both of us. And if you're connecting with me, if you're going to like model this or emulate it, I want you to be able to like look for those things. Like, how can you help somebody improve in this sexy situation? And if you resonate with, like, let's say the submissive or the person I'm scening with, I want you to be like, oh, that's how you could turn that thing around? Or like, I could be like that person and turn that thing around. And it could be the smallest thing, like somebody with a little tick or something that, maybe they're like nervous. So they're picking, if I could pick up on that little thing and I know for sure I can modify that behavior by the end, then that's a win.
She's always watching.
Always.
What was the pivot like to becoming a sex worker and entrepreneur from that vanilla space? Because, a lot of times people don't know that when you are in business for yourself, it ain't 9 to 5, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
Not to say that you didn't, because you had already started with the fantasy flight parties and things like that. But when now you're doing this full time, what was that pivot like?
Well, I had a good model. You had not worked for anyone most of your adult life. And although, I mean, you were doing sex work and other work, but ultimately it was art. It was just like, there's a couple things that I paid attention to from looking at your model, was that you were selling something that people did not have to have, but you made them want it, and you packaged it in enough different angles from like shirts to CDs to streaming to shows for the music, and then like shoots, the parties, all this, the sex work aspect. You package it in enough ways that if you ain't want it this way, you'll take it this way. If you don't want it that way, you'll get it that way. I watched how you acquired a lot of things before we met. But as I learned more about you, I was like, okay, so you put that aside long enough until you get that, and then that takes care of that. Okay, cool. I understand that. Watch even how you did healthcare with no or limited insurance because of being a freelancer. And like that for me is like, those are my golden handcuffs. Like to go from, growing up poor and on Medicaid to at different points in time in my life not having no health insurance. You get a good job that insures you full comprehensive health insurance with dental care. It's like, bitch, where are you going? You're going to do what they tell you to do from 9 to 5. But then like going like, all right, between the both of us, I have 100% health care, but somehow you freak going to the doctor for whatever you need. And like, okay, there's a way to do this. And so that was a huge part of me not caving and going back to another type of steady type of job. It was like, it can be done. He's literally doing it, and he has some of the things that either you want or like you want to keep, so to say. So that was a huge part of my pivot. The other part was talking with both you and the older kids at the time. So I'm not going back to that job, y'all. So we gonna have to maybe do some things different, And the kids were like, okay, like, what's got to give, And I don't know, maybe it felt strenuous to you. No? Okay. Like, it didn't feel so bad because I feel like once I just relinquished that I was going to work for myself, then I remember having a little whiteboard in my office, and I was just like, okay, I have to see 6 therapy clients, 3 fetish training clients, sell 7 shirts, and like very detailed out to equal. I think I started out with 50% of my salary. Okay. Then I need to do this to get 75% of my salary. Mm-hmm. And I was hitting those numbers fast. I was like, oh shit, like it's doable. It's sustainable. I'm not killing myself. The kids are fine. You were happy. Like we were able to travel more. We were able to do some of the ideas and like actually actualize them. So it was slow and steady. People always, they'll say like, I want to leave my vanilla job. Like I want to do what you did. And I'm like, I did it. And it sounds like a real awesome fucking story, but it was strategic. And, you know, I was very thoughtful in doing it. It wasn't like I quit my job, you know, on Wednesday and Thursday we were making, you know, everything was straight.
Tell me your favorite 3 fantasy flight parties that we've ever done. You don't have to go into any detail, but if you want to give one tidbit of to why it was the favorite. While you think about it, for those of you who don't know, Jasmine and I traveled the world doing fantasy flight parties for singles, couples. You know, it could be a birthday party, it could be bachelorette, it could be a divorce party. And Jasmine taught pole. I did erotic touch massages. Sometimes I did climax shows, and we can do a whole other show about that. But we answered all kinds of sexy questions and had games. Like, that shit was wild lit.
It was. Okay. Whoo. I used to be pissed at the end of all of them. That's why, though. I'm going to tell you why. Because I would be out there refereeing 20 drunk women that were totally sexually charged, while you would be calming one down, one at a time. And then it would be like, you know, we would like count our money up. But then my favorite part is when we would go and eat at the end. 3 favorites. Okay. You would eat at the end, except for this one, but this is why it's my favorite. It was one of our early ones in New York, in Queens. It was for my cousin's friend. My cousin's friend who stiffed me of $99 for a sex swing that I never fucking bought up until this moment.
Hope your swing stopped swinging.
I hope that shit broke your door. Anyways, so see, drunk women at the end, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so at that party, you came, you did the erotic touch massages in the back, you answered questions, and you left. And I was like, this motherfucker is going to leave me here? You ain't say, like, you want to go get something to eat? You trying to chill? You staying here tonight? You left no options. There was no doorway for me to like, I was like, and the reason why it's my favorite is because a couple of things happened internally. I was like, you just gonna let him leave? Are you gonna say what you want? I was having this internal battle, and like finally I was like, can I have a kiss before you leave at least? And you were like, oh yeah, you know, and like you gave me a kiss, right? And you still left, right? But I did not say like, hey, like I'm not trying to stay here just because it's my cousin's shit. Like, and 2, I realized I liked you at that party. I was just like, yeah, you're really pressed about this shit. You couldn't open up your mouth to say anything. You really did. Why are you? You're in New York. You can go and like link up with anybody, but you want to go home with this guy. I really did, and that's like when I found out for myself. So that's 1. 2 is when we did pumps and cuffs in St. Pete, Florida.
That was good. That was a good one.
That was really, really, really early on in the thing of things. And it was fun because it was just like, it was super black. It was local. My nephew was down doing tattoos. God bless anybody who let him write all over their body that night. One of my nieces was there doing body painting. Yeah. And it was still like light and flirty. But for the people and the time, it was like some real turn up shit for them. And it was just like nice to see, you know, folks have a good time. And then that night, everything like at the end of the party is usually like more memorable. So that night, I told you at the pool of my complex, I was like, "You're gonna give me a son," and you were like, "All right, again, okay." If you ask for it, you pretty much have been consistent with that. Yeah. So I mean, and you made you know, you came through on that. So that's what's up. And then the third party. The third party would be in San Diego with the homie. We ain't know her from, well, you knew her. I ain't know her from a pot of peas. And she let us stay at her house. That was cool. And she introduced us to her friends and everything. I think it might have been the second party when we came back. And we did it at that warehouse. And we had a pole in the bathroom.
Yo, that spot was so dope. Where I did the massages in that one. It was like an empty warehouse office.
Where were
we just had
candles everywhere.
Downtown San Diego, I think.
So cool.
It had the candles everywhere. That shit looked like a seance up in there.
It was so beautiful. It was so fun. And that was like one of my first times ever being around anybody. There was one of the guests there that was like on Special K. And
she thought she was a cat.
Yeah, like we were like having like a circle conversation, and I'm giving my spiel about like lubes and I don't know, suck a dick or whatever, and then she was just like meow, 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 meow. I was like, is this bitch pranking me? And then it's like sort of like realized like, oh wait, she's not like with us anymore.
She was not with us.
She was not, and then she just like fell asleep.
She was in outer space. She went in the K-hole.
Yeah. I don't know if she ever came out, but like it was, I don't know, it was exciting. I'd never been like in that environment it was different. So it was fun.
3 favorite scenes you have ever done.
Okay, I'll start out and work my way in. So I'll start out house. 3 favorite scenes. This one is going to be a 2-for-1. And it was, I shot it in the house of Filthy Femdom. Shout out to 5 Star. And I shot both of these scenes, 2 separate ones, but one was with Tony Orlando and the other one was with Mouse. And in both of those scenes, I was able to put my foot in their ass, like my whole foot. Yeah.
The thing that people threaten people with.
I'm gonna put my foot
But that was in a pleasurable, consensual way.
Oh yeah, and in the first scene with Tony Orlando, he was topping from the bottom, so like guiding me through it, and you know sharing with me how to make sure that it was pleasurable for him or whatever. And then the second time, I had a little bit more experience with Mouse, and like 5 Star loves to incorporate that, so she did a really good job of like matching me with people who, and vice versa, enjoy the like extreme fetishes, but in the way that I enjoy doing them. And so those are my favorites because they really allow me to push my, like, so much about doing this porn shit is like, what's the shit that I couldn't do just like dating dudes locally?
Facts.
You know, like, I can have a lot of sex, I believe. Wouldn't you agree? I could probably have a lot of sex, right? But I don't know that I can have a lot of variety in that sex without spending a lot of time.
And footy ass.
Right. Yeah, I want to get like right to that sometimes. And these experiences had allowed that. And I just felt like that's just some boss shit. Like when people are like, I'll put a foot in your ass. So like literally, like you can. You just got to kind of angle it with a good point. And you lots of lube. So those are my 2-for-1s there. Moving in a little closer. I love the one that we shot in Jamaica. Aesthetically, it's not my favorite, but the experience of having a live audience. First of all, we were just like so relaxed, so chill. It was our first time presenting at Hito. Shout out to Organic Lovin' that brought us out there.
Tyler.
And I don't know, somehow we finessed it that we was going to do a live sex show.
We just decided we was going to do that.
We just decided we went to the live sex show, and that we were going to film it, and we were going to do past the camera. That was just so cool, and I remember shooting that, and at one point, the camera woman getting so excited, she was like holding me. She was
trying to push you into the dick.
So it's kind of like a threesome. But then, at some point, just like losing myself in you and just like having an enjoyable time, and then like watching it back and then hearing the applause.
That's wild. Not many people could say that they got applause for their orgasm.
No. So that one. And then my third favorite scene, because it's like some of the scenes they came out really beautifully, but maybe they weren't my favorite to make. So, and then some of them, like that one was my favorite to make, but is not necessarily the most aesthetically. The breast milk cum shot one.
That shit is fire.
Yeah, I really love that one because I think you and I worked really well. The videographer was great to work with. Liv Revamp was great to work with. And it's one of those scenes that I feel like shooting it we were like efficient. We may not have known everything that we wanted, but like we were flowing really good with figuring it out together. We worked really well with each other. It's really beautiful. And we got to do like, it went from tickling to like burning your beard. By accident.
That wasn't something we planned on. Shout out to the cinematographer for real though.
Yeah.
He did his thing on that.
He really did. It was like in this beautiful dungeon, and I remember I was just like coming back from postpartum, and there's like a particular part of that scene where I'm sitting in like the throne-ish scene, and like Liv is right here, and then like you're fucking her, but I'm looking at you, and I'm like, I don't know, like fuck her into me or something like that. And then I felt really like empowered and beautiful in my body. Yeah. Those are my three faves. Today. They'll change tomorrow. Those are
good three. Yeah, just for today. What do you think that femdom and fetish play can do to aid women's empowerment?
So, this is a big question, and I can tell you what it's done for me and women that I've had the pleasure to be trusted to help them explore. I think what I was talking about a little bit earlier of like finding my voice to say what I wanted or missing out, and then like practicing a little bit and being like, oh, okay, well, I asked for that and he gave it to me. Damn, like, okay, next time I'm going to get the courage to da. And the next time I probably was like, we staying at a hotel together. But, femdom and fetish and BDSM, the lifestyle really encourages you, and to a certain extent, if you're going to be practicing ethically and well, forces you to speak up, and to encourage the people around you to speak up. It also supports you with rejection. And I think that that's something that as women, we don't experience quite the same way, and that we internalize it in a way that makes us, men are taught, sort of, healthy men are taught to take a lot of rejection, women, we're taught to be chosen, And so I think, in femdom, when we are going through our vetting and finding people who work well with us or who like the things that we like, there are people who are not going to like your style of domination, or your fetish, or how you want to do these things. And you start to learn that it's not personal. You don't have to be chosen every time. You don't have to internalize it. It's just not a good match. And I find that a lot I can say this especially for myself, that in a lot of situations, it was not a good match. But because I was already there, I didn't know how to excuse myself from it. And femdom has really, really helped with giving me that voice to be like, you know what, this is just not a good fit for me. It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean that it's, bad for you or that I'm a bad person. we just don't work. This is just not a good match. So that has been really empowering, and I have seen that in other women. The other thing that I think is really empowering is this is something that I'm really, really working on, and my message might be a little bit, I don't know, choppy, but we're home. Mm-hmm. So I've been working with women for many years on like how to find your own style of female domination, how to find your own style, like what you're wearing, to how you speak, if you want to speak at all, like who you seen with, what fetishes you want to share, like all of this stuff. Like you want to do something up to this point, that's fine, and being like okay with that. Somebody doesn't want to play with you, that's okay too. It does, your value is not held in that. And in sort of working with them, one of the things that I've done over time is continuously reflect on like, who am I as a femdom today? Every time I go into a session with a woman, I have to like sort of check in with like, who are you? Who are you to be doing this work? When's the last time you checked in with yourself, to make sure that you are qualified to be in this space? What style are you bringing in femdom? And what I have noticed is that it is so important to me that my femdom does not look like the practices of male toxicity being projected on men from me. Yeah. So like, and this is my practice in helping other women understand this. It's like you can sort of like see this veil, like, oh, I don't have to be an abusive man to be a femdom. Like, absolutely not. Like that, we don't even have to gender it. We can just say those behaviors are toxic, and we don't have to perpetuate toxic behaviors in any type of relationship. So everything from consent to like, I don't have to be brutal. Female domination doesn't have to look like male abuse. And I think that is so important to be able, and I'm, working through how to like clearly articulate this for me, and, to help other women articulate this, because a lot of us want to dominate Black men. Like, we want to play with Black men in a lot of different ways. And a lot of Black men are turned off by the idea of like that toxic, abusive behavior. And so they'll say like, I don't want nobody like screaming on me. And I was like, oh, I don't have to do that. I don't want anybody like humiliating or doing mind games on me. It's like, not like, I don't have to do that, Yeah. But part of that is because there is a stereotype about female domination being about women being mad at men and projecting, anger, abuse, et cetera, on them. So I really want to be able to articulate that well, because I want more men to know that I am a safe person to play with. It don't mean like I'm going to cuddle and it's going to be romance. It's going to be femdom, but not at the cost of your safety, your humanity, and your beauty.
Oh, I love that. That's an amazing answer. How would you say you have grown sexually? And you can take the start point from wherever you want, but today, like it could be the start point from yesterday, the start point from 5-10 years, whatever.
I think like a broad stroke is that like I don't gotta be nothing. Like I don't have to. My growth has been in like not having weird, crazy expectations of my sex. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be every. I don't know. Every week or every day, or it doesn't have to be with any, like I don't have to figure out if I'm straight or if I'm gay, I don't have to figure out any of those things. Like that to me, like I feel very, very free that like sex is it is something, it's something that I need and it's something that I want, but it's not, it doesn't have to be scheduled or scripted. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone. It doesn't even have to make perfect sense to me all the time. Like, I can just be like, I think I want, and that's fine, you know? And where the growth in that is coming from, you know, a lot of messaging of like, oh, like I put on, or I got a da-da-da-da, or, you know, he gonna keep coming back for, like, I don't care. he doesn't have to, you know, like, if you want, you know, and then we can revisit it at that time, you know, if need be. It doesn't, like, even, I know that this will sound so sort of elementary now, but I remember even selling products that were like, this will get you like wetter, longer, tighter. And I was just like, no, I need what I need for my comfort and my pleasure, not for what is expected of me or what has been taught to be an expectation of me. And I think like that's huge growth. It's like it becomes my individualized sex. It's like I have my own individualized sex treatment plan that is only mine.
What is your current fantasy? I mean, I'm sure you have more than one, but like, do you have a current fantasy that you're like, I won't make this shit happen?
Okay. I have to look at the camera for this one.
Okay.
Because this is a PSA to the people.
It's a pisser.
It's a pisser. It involves you. May I share?
Oh, shit. Yeah, sure.
All right.
Do I need to look at the camera for this too?
You probably should. Okay. All right. So my current fantasy and goal is to craft this sex worker soiree for you.
Ooh, for me.
Yes.
Soiree.
A soiree.
A soiree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am publicly calling out Glitosaurus Rex, who is known for throwing these soirees, and I am publicly calling out sex work performers that have had a wonderful time shooting with him for Royal Fetish Films, because they already know how we get down. And I like envision this, like me like welcome everybody through the door. Like, hi, it's so good to see you. Yes, you know, oh, come in, get comfortable. Like almost like a housewarming party, but it's like a king warming party. And then
Lord knows I don't like the cold.
No, you don't. And it kind of, it's like a merge of fantasies where it's like, I get excited to put you in situations. I always have. And when we used to do fantasy flight parties and used to do like the climax show at the end, it was like, gather around, girls. Gather around. Okay, do we have the money? We do? Okay. And then I used to look at you like, okay, we straight. Like, we got the money. And then you would come and perform. And so I would love to like recreate that, but like you actually engage with your scene partners, but together, because they know your body. They all scene, like even the scene partners, like the men that you've shot with that y'all didn't, you know, y'all have like a boundary thing, like, you know, like you stay here and you stay here, we like whatever, y'all know what each other's boundaries are already, like them too. Like I want y'all at the soiree as well.
Soiree.
Yeah, so that like everybody can like, and then it's like a meeting, like you're seeing like all your art. It's like a listening party, right? Like a jam session.
Okay.
A jam session, and then. And then I don't even know that I necessarily want to play as much as I want to like be able to like sit back and watch and sort of like look at all of the different combinations and connections.
In the fantasy, are we filming this or is it?
Oh yeah, we're definitely filming this. Yeah, because part of the fantasy is like, you know, everybody has the experience and stuff, right? But they also get to like leave it a party prize, so you get some content. A good party, you leave with.
Good party.
Yeah, you leave with something. And then the part that probably wouldn't be filmed and it kind of goes back to those parties. It's like when it's all done, like, okay, now is for me. So that you have like all this sexual energy and like you got to pull from your reserve to give me the best fuck ever.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Thank you for including me in your fantasy.
You're welcome. You're welcome also. So please. Actually, I have a form on the website. It says come work with us, but just put in the notes section that you've worked with Royal Fetish Films and you'd like to be a part of the Sex Work Soiree.
That's it. That's real late.
That's it?
Yeah, do that shit. No, I still have more.
Oh, you do? Okay.
This is we're coming down because
Okay.
we've touched on some topics. This one is even though you have like this powerful presence of Jet Setting Jasmine, who or what would you say is your spirit animal and why? Because you're known for the print.
I'm known for
I know you for the print.
For the print? What are you talking
For the
about?
cheetah, for the leopard, for the print.
Okay.
Well, and also the other print.
Yeah, you do. So wait, so my spirit animal, like animal.
Yeah, it could be an animal or it could be mythological creature, whatever.
Okay. Well, I think it's a good time to confess that I'm really not a big animal lover, like animal person.
Okay.
So it's my spirit animal. All right. This is probably not going to go over really well. Then I'm probably going to have art.
You're gonna have art prepare to edit.
And this is gonna feed into people's stupid ass stereotypes, but like for real, like a monkey, a monkey. They're fucking vicious, but they're cute. Everybody likes to like be around them, and you gotta have one around. But they're vicious. They're clever. They're creative. They use damn near every part of them to get where they're going and what they need. They're fast, but they're not very afraid. Like to an extent, it's like they'll stay to the very last minute, and then they're
not skittish at all.
No, right? They like check it out, they watch, and then when they feel like it's gonna be some shit or whatever, they move. And that like I'm not like a predatory person, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to attack. I like peep, and then I'm fine with either defending if I need to or getting creative about how I'm gonna get that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I like that.
Okay. I'm curious.
Last question, and this is for everyone who listened to our last episode. Same question for you.
You
about
can't do
how
that.
you love me. Nah, it should be about how you love yourself. No. But it's funny because I did have a question that was very similar to that. So I'm going to ask it in my own way.
Yeah,
but it is very similar.
Okay.
What is your love language and how do you communicate it with me?
Okay. So, I have to say, otherwise I feel like I'm going to get canceled from the therapy, the sex therapy department. Like the guy who wrote the love languages is like a piece of shit.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. And but there's, ultimately like the concept and the idea is.
I liked it more from the perspective of, I'm a writer, so I thought language and how you communicated with me.
Yeah.
It could be phrased however you want, though.
Okay, cool. But that's fine. I just have to put that out there.
Because I ain't read none of his books. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
I read the books. It's cute. It got me through. Like, it helped elevate. But the other thing too is like we've evolved into love ways that we love. I would say, I know for sure it's how I spend my time. Because I like in the very many descriptions of like a Gemini, and I think like this is where I'm like, okay, I don't know a lot about astrology, but I definitely feel like this part is on point for me as Gemini. Like, we get bored easy, and so like how you spend your time really means that something has captivated you, and I I look for every possible way for us to spend time together. And like, so it's like I'm constantly captivated by you. And it can even be like just, you know, sitting and we're not talking, or we could be sitting and right next to each other and somehow talking through 3 different mediums at the same time, you know, or like how much we communicate with each other. So I communicate my love for you with the time that I spend with you and how I spend, and then how, like when I'm like, if I'm thinking of like, okay, I could do it this way, but that's going to shorten the amount of time that I'm going to be with him. So like, no, why don't we just do it this way so that we could just be together, you know, like that, in that way.
That explains all the spreadsheets.
Yeah, being efficient so I can spend more time with you, because I like being with you. But to the bigger question that I had asked you, which I have no problem answering, is like, how do I love you? I know I love you comprehensively. Like I look at and experience you for you. You know, and it has grown over time, where in the beginning I was like, if I could get him to, you know, like do this thing my way or this way, like I'd love him more, or and then that has evolved to just like, how you do that? Oh, that's you. Okay. I love that. I love that about you. Or, you know, or like how, okay, this is just who you are, and I've decided to love you, so I decided just to learn more about that, whatever that is, you know. And it could be whatever. It's just like around the house, like, why you put that there? And you'll be like, because I did for this reason. And I'm like, okay, I learned something about how he operates. I love that. That's him. You know, it's like when you love someone's idiosyncrasies, not because they're convenient to you, not because they're relatable, just because it's like that, because they're his, you know. And it's almost it's like, you know, how I be having like these celebrity crushes and like standing on people, like, you know, like, oh, clearly I want that because it's so and so's. I fangirl about you in that way too. I do. Yeah, and not like in a way like, you know, I don't break down your movies. I can't tell you all your scene names, and et cetera, but like as a fan of you, as someone who loves you, I want to know, like, how do you do that? Why do you do that? When did you start doing that? Interesting. And now I want to follow it through the rest of my life to see how it evolves. So I really do feel like I love you comprehensively.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you made it through. We did this. We have interviewed one another. We are King Noire and Jet Setting Jasmine. This is Royal Fetish Radio, Porn and Politics. We record all of these from an underground bunker deep in the Everglades, even though there are no undergrounds in the Everglades. So we on some next level shit. And we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We're going to be back with some more episodes, and we really are interested in y'all feedback. So please, on YouTube, in the IG, wherever, shoot us a motherfucking email. Let us know what topics y'all.
No motherfucking nothing.
Let us know what y'all want us to talk about, what y'all want us to build on. If you have any questions, we are gonna do another FAQ episode. So we are like loving y'all and appreciating y'all on this growth with us. So, as always, be safe out there. And we sexy as fuck, and you sexy as fuck too. Now let's do some fucking. We speak to y'all soon. That was fun.